Hey everybody, this is Dustin, RV Specialist. So I'm looking at a Solitude, a Grand Design Solitude, and I think it's a 2022 or it may be a 21, I'm not sure. And it is a model, if you wanted to know it, it's a ST3350RL. So the customer came in and we're putting on a Roadmaster suspension system on this coach. And so that's all completed and installed. The issue that we found while we were doing this was the owner had disc brakes on there, and he said, hey, while you're in here doing it, can you take a look at the brakes and make sure that the brakes are still good, make sure that the seals aren't leaking or anything like that. Well, when I originally talked to him, I went into the whole, hey, you can't really check all that without pulling the hubs, not knowing that he had disc brakes on there. So as the guys came out and did their job, Sam had noted that down, and what they did is they found out that behind the backing or behind the actual rotors, that the rotors, all four of the seals were leaking. There was grease thrown all over the calipers inside of it and all over saturated on the brake shoes. So when they took these off, they have to take off the caliper and hang it in order to get it out of the way from doing the slipper spring install. But they had a hard time taking off the studs. And so these studs, as you can see, all the studs have been over tightened and stripped. And so it like cross threaded them. And so it took, it was very difficult to use. We're using heavy duty DeWalt impact guns to remove these with. And so if you haven't got one of these, I would recommend that you get one. But, and that's not the socket he was using. He's using the impact version. That was for something else that he had on lower torque. But all the nuts pulled the threads on all of these where they had been over tightened. So some of the actual rotors too, while they were looking at them, 3 out of the 4 rotors had cracks in the rotor itself. And so we got pictures of that. I got pictures of the backside of them showing all the grease thrown around. I got pictures of all the insides of the caliper itself showing all the grease inside of it. I got pictures of the brake shoes are all saturated with grease on them as well. So, it's real important that, whoever you take this kind of stuff to, that they're double checking all that. It could have been easily missed as well. But, we try to spend a little extra time when we're doing things just to kind of look everything over. Also you'll see like we do a security mark on all of our U-bolts and a lot of the other stuff to, witness mark is what we call it, or security mark, to let us know if somebody ever tampers with something or something backs away and comes loose. But, you can even see it over there, so the guys are pretty good about, basically protecting the consumer as well as ourselves. So just, a reminder, make sure if you're taking your units in, make sure that you're retorquing the wheels periodically. We even put on our paperwork how often you should retorque them. I don't recall the numbers offhand, even though I should, but too much information rattling around in my brain, But anyway, stay tuned for more. We've got new Kodiak disc wheels coming, brakes coming, seals and bearings coming. So we're going to get him all squared away and fixed up. And then again, if you haven't seen our other videos on the Roadmaster kit, look how much beefier those springs are compared to the stock ones. So it's a thickness, again, it's not the amount of leaves, but the thickness of each leaf. And then when we do this, we're replacing all new U-bolts. We're actually taking and adding in greasable wet bolts in the back. We're removing and putting bronze bushings in instead of the nylon ones that come with it. And so stay tuned for more, and we'll have a great day. Thanks so much for watching. Dustin, your RV Specialist.